Hi, I love you. My love is great and my love is unending for you. Who will be me? All of you doing this now where you channel me, channeling you to channel us, to channel one, a family. No more drowning in the seas of opinions of other people who want to give us their plans for our lives. My name is Theodore Cottingham.com. And I base my love upon something that I have known for a long time, that I love more than love as defined by most people. I loved deeply in ways that have made me misunderstood and questioning myself many times, my motives, and why I hurt so deeply sometimes. Why I feel things the way I do, why I think about people the way I do. But I am me. You are you. We are one. If we will be one, learning what one means, to one flow, the flow of one. The flow. You see, I suggest that Christianity will collapse now and we will witness it. We will be a part of it. We will lead in the collapse of it. I suggest to you that, contrary to what anybody else may try to counter my statement with, that Christianity is stagnant, fear-based, keeps you weak, and makes you weaker, dependent, codependent, makes you a spectator, dependent upon the leaders of a church, those who are ordained, those who are anointed, those in the fivefold ministry. Christianity does not raise the common people. Christianity brings promises, and I was an ardent supporter. I was immersed in Christianity for decades of my life, but it's a belief system that takes from you more than it gives you. It may give you an introduction to many things about the supernatural, heaven, the natural world, the cosmos, but it takes from you your power. It takes from you your origin, thus taking from you your identity, and says you were made by a higher power. And that higher power is what rules the world, and yet tells you it's at war with another force wanting to defeat it. It gives you a bunch of words and tells you, believe these words, study these words to show yourself approved. And remember, it is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God. It's based on fear. It's based on hierarchy. Christianity is patriarchal, permeated with patriarchy. And I'm not a patriarch. And I will fall no longer under the wheels of the grinding stone of your patriarchal system. And I won't be part of it. Neither will I let it exist to continue hurting my people. Who are my people? People of love, people of kindness, respect, tender-hearted, exuding loving kindness and acceptance. The collapse of Christianity will come now because it's a false religion. But yet you can adopt it, you can corroborate it to you, and you can love it. You can love God, love Jesus, sing the songs, the hymns, and be a pacifist or a militant within your religion. I understand. I wrote a book called Jesus the Pattern because I suggest to you, I see a different story than what Christianity conveys to you. Christianity says Jesus is the only Son of God, period. False. So if that's true, when Jesus in John 14:12 says, if you believe in me, you will do the things I do, how can you do them? You're not the Son of God because Christianity says you're not the Son of God. You're going to do what supposedly Jesus said in John 14:12? Or are you going to believe that Jesus is the only Son? The only Son who can do what Jesus did? I suggest to you that people have preached for 2,000 years what they could logically assimilate, what seemed reasonable and rational to them. They developed their own cognitive powers in the effort to control the populace. They wanted to control the message. They wanted to control the language. They didn't even teach people in their own common language for how many hundreds of years? Don't you know that? You didn't know that? Christianity, the very motives of its foundation was to control. But Jesus didn't come to control. He didn't control. He said, if you believe in me, you will do the things I do. And don't think I came to bring peace. But a sword, not a metal one, but the word. And he taught, he walked. Jesus was a common man. He was the first to learn a learning system. And in my process, my quest of knowing God, knowing Jesus, knowing love, I began to channel. But I didn't call it channeling because channeling, oh, that's a new age word. So I was fearful of new age words because I had heard, seemed like millions of times, beware of false teachers. Beware of false teachers. Like they had a magical power over me. Like I didn't have a mind to think for myself. Christianity literally dumbs you down because it tells you what to believe, who to believe, how to believe, and draws all sorts of vectors and lines and walls to keep you within a framework of their thinking. And they do very well at it. They become very sophisticated. And a lot of people have bought into that for hundreds and hundreds of years. And of course, you could say, how can all those people be wrong? I don't have the answer, but I can address it. You see, it's for you to find your answer. I have many answers. I have many things to share with you, and I do almost every day. And you've heard me say many times, if you've listened to me very much, do your due diligence. This is to empower you. This is not for me to raise followers. I'm interested in you developing your power to love and heal your people. Those that I have given you. What was that? Where's that phrase in the Bible? Those that I have given you. Have people been given to you to lead? Are you going to lead them to a pew? Are you going to lead them to Sunday school? Are you going to put the Nicene Creed in their hand and in the other hand them a membership card to sign? So that they think serving God is the paradigm of freedom? Church is the paradigm of death. Boy, that's plain. I don't think I've ever said it quite like that. Death. It preaches death. It preaches it's appointed unto you once to die, and then the judgment of God. The judgment of God. But I found a different story. Love does not keep a record of right and wrongs. So who created the concept of hell? Those who want to control you. So many give their lives to a book that they have no clue whatsoever to how it was composed and what went on. If you really start studying how the Bible came into being, became canonized, I suspect you'll find a lot of surprises. What were the motives of the people who put it together? To control a kingdom, to bring unity to a kingdom, unity by force for the ruler to remain ruling. You see, we have lived as children. We have lived as little children. We have been ignorant. We have thought so often that people knew what they were talking about. We thought they were credible. They were ignorant. You see, people, preachers, a lot of wonderful, sincere people, What do they preach? They preach what they've been taught. That's all they know, what they've been taught. What do they do? What they've been taught to do. What do they preach? How do they preach? How they've been taught to preach. What to preach. The blind leading the blind. What was the message? Jesus' message was the kingdom of heaven is at hand. At hand? The kingdom of heaven. The kingdom of heaven is inside of you. You see, I suggest to you, the disciples, they never got the message. None of them. Not really. Remember the story when Jesus was teaching. The disciples come to him and say, the people are weary. They've been here all day. They're hungry. Should we go to town and buy food for them to eat? And Jesus said, you feed them. I don't think Jesus would have said that unless they had the power, the ability. But they didn't have the knowledge or the understanding. If they had the knowledge, they didn't have the understanding. They didn't have the maturity of the message. He said, you feed them. They had the power, but they didn't have the understanding. They still didn't get it. In one sense, you might say the centurion who understood authority, understood more than they did. The centurion who wanted Jesus to come heal his servant. But then the centurion said, as I recall, you don't need to come. I am a man under authority. I speak the word, and my commands are carried out. Just speak the word. But the Christians, you see, Christianity has wanted to control the message. Christianity is just like a business. It's like any other institution. It wanted to be the purveyor of the word. It wants to be the controller of the interpretation. And it wants to limit the supernatural in you and tell you, you aren't authorized to hear God directly. Not really. Oh, as long as you say, God spoke to you about something, nobody gets too upset. But when you start writing 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pages every day of the first person words of your communication, where you literally write as a scribe, and then show it to them, maybe you'll have an encounter with people a lot more understanding than I did. I was met with, who do you think you are? If it doesn't line up with the Bible, then it's heresy. It's blasphemy. No, my friend. If you want to know who you really are, there's another way to learn. And I talk about this so often. To learn to live your life, to be who you really are, I suggest it's imperative for you to become humble enough to learn from the real you that is the Holy Spirit of you. That's the real you. The life force of you. The power to open and close your eyes, to speak a word, to breathe in your lungs, to command your vocabulary. I'm a guy, certainly not a rich guy, but I'm wealthy because I know who I am. And it's been hell finding out. I've come through a process. I've channeled for 21 years. I got to where I was no longer afraid to say, I channel. Only in the last few years. Even though I've been doing it 21 years, I guess I've been a very slow student. The artifacts of religion have many tentacles in your tree of life. I've taught much about the Garden of Eden, the Garden of Creation, the garden, the neural network within your brain, your mind. You see, there's over 1,000 videos of my teaching on YouTube in this channel. And it's time to go somewhere we've never been in an accelerated way, an accelerated manner. With the untold message of Jesus that's now being told. The one that says Jesus never said, follow me. The way Christianity does? Follow? No. I suggest to you the message, the untold story. Jesus said, become me. Become who I am to do what I'm doing. Become who I am. Feed the 5,000. Raise the dead. Lazarus come forth. What do you see in that story? A story of a historical incident? It's just a story of history. If that's all you see, you haven't learned how to learn. Jesus wanted to teach people to learn how to learn about the living word. The parable of the tree, the parable of the fig tree. The seed is the word. The seed, not to do the supernatural. The seed is the word, not for you to become successful, have a big bank account, have a big company, walk around with your pompous smirk. Let me tell you, it's all about to change. Babylon falls in one day? Babylon. What is Babylon? What does Babylon represent? What is its symbol? What is your symbol? Have you learned to learn? I sit here to help you learn how to learn a learning system where you compute, where you create your own life by your own words, by your motives, by the intent of your heart. And that's not your blood pumping muscle. It's the command center of your mind, the very essence of your core existence that is not limited to the molecular. The untold message, the untold message. If you believe in me, do what I do. Be who I am. But see, religious authorities, if they didn't humble themselves as a child and get the message, if they didn't pay the price to learn light from love and love from light, and that they were one, they passed on their limited message. And they said, the mystery of Christ, the mystery of the unknowable God. Then here's the book. Lift high, exalt the scriptures. My friend, it's all stagnant. It's all stagnant. Stagnant. They want you to be stagnant and appropriate your energy to finance their operation because they want to cover the earth with God's word that they canonize in a book and say you don't have the ability to hear. And I sit here and I defy them all. I defy every one of their Bibles. And who am I? I am a simple old guy that says the unknowable message, the mystery of Christ is no more, and the untold story of Jesus is to be who he is. Yes, you, little girl, you, my 99-year-old friend, whether you sit in a nursing home, whether you vomit blood every day because you're so ill or not, I'm telling you, there's a love that crosses every line of demarcation. And people will sit in pity and pity their circumstances no more, no matter how empathetic they are or compassionate you want to seem to embrace the message of. There's a leadership. I am a school of leadership for you to lead you out of Christianity, to lead you out of religion, to lead you out of where you have been sitting waiting on God, a Messiah, no matter what name you call him, because the Messiah is not a him. Get it straight. The Messiah is not a him. Nobody's coming to rescue that's a him that's going to set up his kingdom. That's a great theory. It's a great theory to help motivate you to be complacent. Sit in a pew. Come back next week, do the same thing, but expect a different result. What do you call that? It's stagnant. See, there's no war in heaven if you know who you are. Heaven is between your ears, my friend. And if you ever see it, you go inside and you open the door. How do you open the door? You learn to learn. You just want to learn from me? Learn from me, learn from me? No, my friend, that doesn't cut it. It takes guts to walk into the fiery furnace, doesn't it? You can't walk there and be unscathed unless you know who you are before you walk in. Because faith has no place here the way it's taught. It does not take faith to please God. Boy, that is a motivating carrot and stick, isn't it? I sit here and I tell you, you can hear God, and God will teach you directly. That is the operation of the new covenant. I have spoken that. I have taught hundreds of times on this, that you can hear God. You can learn to channel without fear of retribution, without fear of punishment, without being afraid of whether it's New Age or not, or whether you even speak or write a stray word, or even if you get it fouled up, goofed up, and you're wrong. I've said many times, the God that I know will come caressingly. Key word. Caressingly correct you. And I taught with a certain lingo, a certain parlance, a certain vernacular, a certain syntax, utilizing what grammar, diction and grammar I had available for years. And I'm telling you now. And I've gone beyond that. I've gone beyond. You see, it's a progressive message. It's a progressive life. This is an organic life. It's an organic love. It's a love relationship. That's not stagnant. I'm talking about love that doesn't put you in your place, that doesn't cap you, that puts a ceiling over you, sticks you in a pew, and tells you to be silent in the church. Hogwash. So I'm doing something about it. Why? Because I'm a leader? I'm a lover. I wanted to know love. And love has taught me many things. And so many things stood out, like I looked for a man to stand in the gap. I don't know how many hundred times I said, I'll stand in the gap. I didn't know what it meant. So I'm standing in the gap by sitting here. Sharing my love with you. Drinking coffee. There's a learning system that I call Meonics. If you want to know why I call it Meonics, you can find out. You can search. You can go online. I have two websites. One is my name, TheodoreCottingham.com, and the other one at the moment hasn't been integrated yet to my primary one that bears my name. And my other website has the first 2,400 lessons, that I channeled. About 10,000 pages is my estimate of the information. 2,400 multi-page documents. And you can search. You can look up Meonics. That is its purpose, for you to engage with it, to present you certain information, to facilitate you walking through your door of light, walking, entering the kingdom of heaven that is within you, entering it. This is why I exist, why I teach, why I preach. I don't beg anymore. For years, multiple times, during a teaching recording, often I would bow on one knee, both to honor you, respect you. And at times I just would beg people, but I don't. But see, there's a way to learn. If you want to be in this school, you enter it by doing so. Because this is not a school like we've ever been used to knowing about. This is the school of the inner you. The inner you will teach you all things so that you need no man to teach you. Have you not studied the New Covenant? You call yourself a Christian? Did you study the words in red? Did you memorize any of them? The words in red? Or did you just value the words of Paul? Supposedly Paul and other people that set up a whole church government, an ecclesiastical order that silences women. If you want to silence women, don't come to my school. Don't even get in my presence. I will walk all over that motive. I demolish it. Hear me well. I will not tolerate that mess. And I will walk in power because I am my word, asking you to learn to be your word. Now, if you don't birth your word, you will have no power. You will sit there, seek information, become an information machine through your cognitive power and intelligence. And you'll sit there and want, suffer insatiability. Everything is insatiable. It really doesn't satisfy like true love does. And you get older and older and older, and you die out. I'm telling you, you can know the word, and it is not canonized. The message of Jesus is for you to understand the word. The audacity of some organization, a bunch of people coming together to canonize it and say, this is the word of God, and this is the only one. Preposterous. It's like saying, or whatever metaphor you want to draw a picture of. Or are you willing to learn by metaphors, allegories, movies, books? How are you learning? The center of Meonics is you learning from the inner you. If you're not willing to channel, go to some other school. Pay your tuition. Get in debt up to your ears and your eyeballs to have a piece of paper to go work like a slave 40, 50, 80 hours a week. You can do that. But there's more to love. There's more to the Jesus story. I say that Christianity is going to collapse now because people are going to begin to understand the message of love. Not the Christian Jesus, but the Jesus in their mirror. Where you become it. That life. You. One. Us. One. Us. Billions. One. One mind. One set of values. One love. Not a bunch of robots. Not a bunch of organic brains walking around with the intelligence stuffed in us from the iterative measures of the offspring of the offspring of the offspring of creation. There's a different message. But see, the thing is, you can't see it unless you see it. If you see it, it's revelation. If you don't see it, and you can't imagine it, you're unable to open the door. See, I've told this story before. It's a quick little story. It's so powerful. I like it. Mother says to her little girl, remember, tomorrow's the first day of school. It'll be the second grade. Are you excited? The little girl tells her mom, Mommy, I've decided I'm not going to school anymore. Mom says, why not, honey? The little girl says, I've already been to the first grade. And I've thought and thought and thought about it. And I can't think of anything I don't already know. It's a story. This is a book of stories. Every story has its interpretation of that story. As I've taught, the authenticity of the story, the validity, the accuracy, the authenticity doesn't matter. Did Jonah spend 3 days in the belly of a whale? Or is that a story, a metaphor? Is this an allegory? You see, if you're afraid of the term New Age, you may be afraid to say the Bible is allegory. Can allegory be fiction? Can it be nonfiction? What are you willing to know? Are you willing to investigate what you're spending your life devoted to? Jesus said, if you believe in me, you will never die. How many people believe that? Nobody quotes that hardly ever. But gazillions of people preach. It's appointed every man wants to die, and then the judgment. Judge, judge, judge. Condemnation, condemnation. War in heaven. Angels, demons, Lucifer. There's a lion in the street. Beware of false teachers. Christianity will collapse because it's an organized system of fear-mongering. It's an organized system of control. And religion will no more control us because we're no longer stagnant, because we are learning how to learn. Meonics is a system of learning for you to learn how to learn through you, as well as movies, books, and stories. Not trashing every book, not being afraid of any book, not being afraid of any movie, not being afraid of any question or any rulings, but becoming who you really are. Who are you becoming? Well, if you're becoming one, you're becoming one of what you thought was separate. You thought you and the Holy Spirit was separate. You thought you and God were separate. Or at least that's what we've been taught. And we're not separate. Most of us have been so povertyized. We become so accustomed to poverty. We become so accustomed to ignorance, complacency, that we have become complicit in regenerating the story that makes us all paupers. We've been afraid. We've rejected things like reincarnation or the idea that we existed before time and space, or that we have lived many lives, or that this earth has been here billions of years, or that a day is as 1,000 years, or 24 hours, or what are you seeing? I'm saying Christianity will collapse, and I will not bring a new religion, and I will not bring faith. I bring the face of God to your mirror. And I suggest to you the mystery of Christ, the unknowable God. It's all knowable. It's all knowable through your own mouth if you will learn to write with your pen. And I've discussed this and taught on this hours and hours and hours. And here I am again, talking about Meonics, the collapse of Christianity, and the rise of love. And the lovers will lead. But you must learn leadership. Who can teach you? I'm asking you to learn from the great within, that which is the real you. I'm asking you to learn to channel. Call it channel, call it something else. You want to call it a stream of energy? You want to prophesy? But if you want to just prophesy, why do you want to religiousize everything? You see, there's so much more to the story. I've said that phrase hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. If you think this is the story, and it's all here, my friend, you are going to be devastated. You'll weep and gnash your teeth, wishing you had learned to learn, not from those in authority, but from those who empower you to be the real you and to learn who this guy is that we call Jesus. A collection of facts, a collection of stories. Did somebody really learn to walk on water? Heal the sick, raise the dead, raise Lazarus. Calm the storm, feed the 5,000. I suggest to you the answer is not only yes, but the message of that force, of that life, of that love is for you to do it also. Not just to make followers. You see, all of these miracles show multiple things. This 3D world is limited. And we, as flesh, are a limited race. Just like the people, the chosen people who got absorbed into slavery. Slavery, remember the story? The message of Jesus is, you're not subject to this 3D world. You're really not limited. Jesus saw all these people are hungry. Should we go to town and buy some food? Jesus says, feed them. So what have we been taught to do? Oh God, heal my friend, heal my mom, heal my dad, heal my son, heal my daughter, heal me. We begged like paupers. We've begged, we begged, we begged, we've been ignorant. And yes, there are times we've seen things that we can't explain occur. Many people have had many miracles in their life. Does that corroborate a lifetime of devotion to a system that sits you on a pew, tells you to read a book, how long to wear your hair, how short to wear your skirt or not, what to do with your body, what to think? You see, your mind will rule you if you let it by the words of others. If all you have is your Bible, your commentaries, your Sunday school lessons, your PhD, your diploma, your cognitive powers, whatever you have accumulated. If this is all you have, you're going to live according to that. I'm asking you to create the creatorship of the living you, where you begin to learn a different way. You begin to learn from metaphors in ways that you never have before. You begin to see the application of the metaphor, the analogy. You begin to see the allegory, so that increasingly you learn to ask questions and ask what if. You begin to see, you begin to speak. Truth is not fragile. I've said it hundreds of times. Truth is not fragile. Truth is not stagnant. Truth is a flow. Truth is a flow of life. Love is a flow. Love is organic. Love is something living. It is not stagnant between a man and woman, or a man or woman and God. It's not something you do. It's what you become. Behold, the Lamb that you no more take to a slaughter. Slaughter? How? Surrendering to death. It's not appointed. Man may appoint you to die. The person, the entity, God, that put you in this flesh suit that decays, becomes decrepit, that you surrender to death, who put you in this thing, limited you to this one planet? You want to devote all of your energy to that? No, my friend. Stand up. Lead. Lead and love. And begin to learn the difference between God and love. You see, I mentioned that God would speak to you. And I taught that. In many videos, I talk about God because I used to believe God was love, and the two words were interchangeable. But nothing's farther from the truth. There are many gods, and you're one. You just don't know it. You don't know which one you're listening to. You can learn. Is it love-based? Does it empower you? Does it live love? Does it love each other equally? Does it love each other equally? Is your word congruent with love? Do you empower love or are you restricting love? What is love? What's inherent in love? Are you willing to research love in the words that I've given you in Database 1 with the search capability? You see, if you're not willing to search and research and write a paper in my school, you're not in my school. But I school a lot of lovers now, of every nation, tribe, and tongue, because I see them. In my mind, I see them. In my word, I see what's coming forth. I see me in unlimited glory. I see you in the infinite glory of I am. Defeating death because you're immortal anyway. Death is but a mirage, an illusion. Hell is but a myth. You see, I not only have my words, I have written my words. I have written my words in this book over a period of 11 years. You can get a copy if you want it on my website, theodorcottingham.com. I've written my words, 2,400 lessons that you can search online, that there is a learning system in to link. And it's quite innovative. Sometimes when you're reading one of the lessons, all of a sudden out of the blue, here's this really odd word. Seems to be unrelated. May not be a word, a common word in common usage. If you want to, you circle it. And what do? You go look it up in Database One. Find things you never imagined. It was a link. a hyperlink, a word that should be looked up. And if you don't look there so many times. I've had phrases given me. I thought, And I'd go search it on the web and find the name of a movie. I'd go get the movie from the library. Watch a movie. Wow. Sometimes just one scene, sometimes the whole movie. Sometimes one scene would just be a visual that would depict and expand my understanding of something. Meonics is a learning system that takes the limits off of you. It is a system that I've used the word many times, a mosaic in the fact that it's unlimited. When you take the limits off of your learning system, you can begin to see a Jesus of love that does not want your worship. But desires for you to do all the things he did. Because you were never separate. There was never only one son. That spark of eternal, immortal, interdimensional life has never left you, though you've powered many creations and many iterations. You've been men, women, many times. But in death, all of this gets erased. Why? For us to start over. Because we were created on an assembly line to power life. Not just ours, but that which uses our life, called word. Neurons. Molecules? Can you imagine that this universe operates with the energy of you? Are you willing to ask questions? And be not afraid. Be not afraid. Be not afraid of God. For goodness sake. There's no fear in perfect love. Write that across your forehead. Write it on your tablet. Put it on your refrigerator. Tattoo it on your hand. There is no fear in perfect love. There's no hell created for you. Not by love. See, this is where God and love diverge. If you think God requires faith, you're in the wrong camp. Oh, you can stay there. You can love it. You can dance around. But I won't be there. And I will be many. Because my word is embraced. My word is known. My word is loved. My word frees from the allegory of slavery. Slavery to the flesh. Slavery to ignorance. the very ideosity, thinking you're going to God's house on a Sunday morning. My friend, God does not reside. Love does not reside, but control does in a house made with hands. But love does not reside in a house made with hands. Love knows no end. Love knows no division. There's no war in love. And when you love each other, you're not at war with your neighbor, even though they love something entirely different. When you begin to know who you are, all the hurts and wounds become increasingly powerless that have been inflicted upon you. Jesus the pattern. The mystery of Christ will no longer be perpetuated in this nation or on this planet. The unknowable Christ is all who will be it. We will all love each other, and we will be known by our love, not by our penury, our paupery, not by our compassion, not by our empathy, but by our leadership to love, to stand up, and no longer be inferior to ourselves, to no longer be subservient to another person's thought and what they think of us and what they want to do with us, whether they want to silence us or limit us to teach some Sunday school lesson. Think globally. Globally. Intentionally. Deliberately. And be not afraid. And believe me, I have been afraid many times. It takes guts to be in the school of the real you, the school of the inner you, the school that activates a new particle. A meon? No longer limited to neutrons, protons, and electrons, quarks and organelles, subatomic particles, the weak force, the strong force. Oh my gosh, what are you willing to believe? What are you willing to know? What are you willing to become is the question. And I'm not dilly-dallying around. And it's time. It's time to decide. It's time to change. It's time to stand up. Leadership leads, whether anyone is looking or not. Leadership leads, whether anyone is following you or not. Leadership writes on those yellow tablets, whether anybody gives a damn or not. Leadership leads to become the breath of the real you. That's what channeling is. This is the kind of love channeling love that I'm talking about. It's you breathing life into you to create you again, the new you. This is what born again means. Literally becoming a new creation, not subject to death. The interdimensional you taking shape day by day in the words that you breathe into place and that you write on yellow tablet, that you blog, that you type into your computer. Because you have the courage to do so no matter how afraid you are. This is not related to faith. Courage? No, they're not the same. The motivation is love. The motivation is to empower. The motivation is to set free. The motivation is to let love be crowned by who will crown each other to be it. And if you're not willing to crown a black man, a black woman, a red man, a red woman, crown? Yes, crown. Are you willing to kiss their hand? If you fail to do it, if it brings healing, if you won't, then come here. Have I done it? Yes, I've done it. That's why I can speak about it. I've done it. In a coffee shop. You see, you're not worried about who may see me when you begin to lead. Even if you're aware, the eyes and the stares of other people no longer incarcerate you, no longer immobilize you, no longer keep you in a pew, no longer keep you placid, no longer keep you in a rage, no longer keep you in a state of fear. There is no fear in love. I go now. This is my lesson. I go now. Oh, I'm going to play pickleball. You see, understand. Begin to learn. Begin to open increasingly to learning from metaphor, through allegory, and through sources that you never thought you would pick up. Can you imagine a dynamic learning system? Dynamic. Completely disrupts your normal contentment, what you've been used to, the energy now that you flow now. Are you willing to look at movies differently? The Matrix, The Truman Show, The Edge of Tomorrow. Powerful visuals. Are you willing to walk through the door of light? The door of light, the door that's in you, the door, the metaphor of a door. Are you willing to go inside the kingdom of God that is within you? And if you are, it's like, to do so, all of this that we think is so fabulous, natural, elegant, nature. We begin to realize we are not subject to this. So there's an element. Humility has to be at the core. So I've taught communion as a symbol. You know what? I don't always do this. I do sometime. I have a donut. I break it, you see. Why would I break it? As a symbol of my body and blood. A symbol that what I look at in the mirror each day, and even what I perceive as me in this 3D world, I'm not limited to. The real me is expansive, organic, living, unable to be terminated. I'm the liver of love who asks you to resurrect you. Chocolate donut. A symbol of my body, certainly not anybody else's. It's not God. It's not Jesus. I suggest to you the idea The Last Supper, Jesus took the cup, took the bread. He didn't say, "This is my body broken for you." No, my friend. He looked at those people and said, "You are my body. You are my blood. Be me. Do the things I did." I love you. I'm just a radical old guy. Thank you for being you. So many times I've taken communion, like, call it taken communion over the years. Of course, at first it was more formally a cracker, grape juice. But I suggest to you, it's not the words you say as much as it's the motive of your heart. That's why I can say, if you want to know God, it doesn't matter what you call God. You can call God Ralph or Betty Sue. And when you want to know love, love is not limited to any God story. Love does not exist as God the way it's been purported. And I ask you now to see your love for you. See, it all begins with you. It doesn't begin with compassion. It doesn't begin with empathy. It doesn't begin with kneeling and surrendering to some other God. It begins with your motive of your heart to learn to listen, to let love teach you directly. And if you respond as I ask, begin to pick up your pen and not be fearful of a stray word. Not be fearful of anything. And begin to write, begin to record, begin to write courses, begin to put them online, begin to start a share group, a fellowship of one. Show my videos. Show 10 minutes of my video. Pick a video. But begin to let love flow and begin to do things you've never done before, to stand up and let the word of the life of love and the light of love come through your lips in some kind of leadership that gets you off the pew, out of the closet. I don't care if you're gay or straight, because it doesn't make any difference. The rules of man do not determine us. We are people of light because we existed before the molecular did. I'm asking you to do all the things Jesus did and more before you die and never die again. Thank you for sharing. I love you. TheodoreCottingham.com. I go play pickleball now, and I hope you have a great day. I hope you're right. I hope you see this as school. I hope you see this as a classroom lecture. I hope you pick up your pen. I hope you've been writing notes this whole time. I hope you have recorded it on your telephone or a little tape recorder. Play it back for other people. Transcribe any part of it. Why? To eat the Word. Eat, assimilate, to where you become not separate from these words, to begin to set yours free to do the same, for to heal the earth and operate in the unlimited form of you. I love you. Good day. Thank you again. TheodoreCottingham.com. Share these words. Tell people, love people, forgive everybody of everything. Wear the crown of light. Crown everybody you see with it. Be the one. Good day.